All right, welcome back to another episode of the Rise and Bind podcast. My name is Chris Langille. I'm your host, and I'm the founder of Advisor Evolved. Today, I'm super pumped to be joined by a friend, colleague, and I guess a partner in some respects. Actually, I'm one of your clients too.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Mr. Beaux Pilgrim. Beaux is a great dude from IA Blueprint. Thank you for jumping on, man. I've been excited to get you on because I feel like you have a lot to say, good things to say. And overall, man, you're a good egg, man. And I'm always
that, brother.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of the stuff that you do. And thank you for jumping on, man. So
I was honored to be here. Honored to be here,
man,
brother, for sure.
I'm just gonna dive right into it. I mean, you have sort of an interesting story, I think, similar to mine, where you started off as an agency owner. In my case, I started off as many different things and ended up in insurance. Yeah, cutting hair, working at Home Depot. And we all have a story, right? But you have an interesting one too. So tell us a little bit about like your journey, and then what kind of led you into what you're doing now, because you have a very successful growing business with virtual assistants and virtual employees that are helping a lot of agencies and actually helping me with some of our operational stuff too. So tell us about yourself, your story, and I think it's super interesting.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. As Beaux Pilgrim, I live in a little bitty town called Vidalia, Louisiana. My town's 4,000 people. I got into insurance almost 31 years ago now. My wife conned me into it, conned me into marrying her, and then conned me into insurance. But joking aside, it's a fantastic industry. I went to work for my father-in-law 31 years ago and started off commercial lines, and just, I enjoyed it. It's a great relationship business. You get to meet a lot of people. You always, dealing with trying to figure out how to solve problems and, help people out. 'Cause every time I show up, I'm either selling something or I'm in that day where they are having some sort of a struggle. Maybe they had a claim or something like that. And, we're showing up to try to figure out how do we get them to move forward. And so you meet a lot of great people, in as clients, but also in the industry. I grew up in a time in the industry, so to speak, where there wasn't a lot of sharing of knowledge, and people just weren't willing to just kind of talk about how do you grow your business and like that. And whenever I took over the agency from my father-in-law 18 years ago, I didn't know a thing. I knew how to sell a commercial policy, but and then, so I had to figure out how to run a business, and I started asking, but man, it's just people wouldn't talk to you about it. But shortly after that, all these different groups started, developing where you could talk openly about, here's what's going on in my business. I'm struggling to try to figure this out. It really helped us, in this small town to still be able to figure out how to continue to grow. Well, fast forward, to 2020, we all know what happened then. We had COVID happen. Well, a lot of agencies in the industry had two problems. One, you were growing really fast, because all of a sudden everybody's sitting at home willing to talk about their insurance, right? And the other thing was that that it was really hard to find staff. So I was here, not just, one thing, I was in a small town, so I had a very small pool, but the second thing was just you're in the middle of this pandemic. You can't go and meet with people, and, in a little town, we still were like meeting here in the office. And had a buddy suggested to me to look into hiring abroad. I was nervous because, man, a little bitty town, very redneckish, and I didn't know how it would go. And hired somebody and just was blown away by first the talent I was able to hire, the work ethic, and then also just how well my clients adopted them. Did that, was telling some buddies about it, and they were all like the same boat I was, so asked me to help them with it. So I helped a couple of friends with it, and then they talked me into getting into it. And you know you know when they first approached me, I was like, man, I got a job. I don't need a second job. I got enough to do, and just really you know felt like the urge to kind of move into it, and did. I started off because I was just trying to help buddies out, trying to help out other people, because one of the things that I've learned is like every one of us has got some sort of a gift, or giftedness to us. And what was fairly easy for me of just understanding the vetting and hiring process for an employee was just incredibly elusive to the average business owner and agency owner. And, I was able to have a short conversation with an agent, see what the needs were, because of my experience in an insurance agency, as well as also just talking to them and then be able to find the right person for them. All virtual, professionals working from the Philippines. And just, it was kind of a natural fit for us. And, we do really well with it.
It's awesome. Dude, and your point about, like, the gift is so true, like, and I could see you having that because, you strike me as, like, one of these types of guys. It's like, some people, like, they say, like, good salespeople are like chameleons. They can, like, conform to, like, who they're trying to sell to, and I feel like it's the opposite for you. I feel like, you're like a good old boy. I think people kinda, like, meet you and, like, they conform to you. You know what I mean? So
Appreciate
you
that.
you have this kinda gift of, like, probably getting information out of people too that, like, they're just like, "This guy is so nice, I'm just gonna tell him everything he asks," you know? You could probably walk into a bank and just say, "Can I get, like, a couple $1,000?" And they'd be like, "Sure, yeah, here you go."
I haven't tried that. Maybe I'll try that,
You
Chris.
should
But
try it, man.
I don't
You
know.
should
I
try it.
I have noticed that usually people seem to be comfortable with me, and I don't know. I hope some of it comes from just I really care about whoever it is I'm talking to, and if I can figure out some way to help you, you know, I'm happy to because brother, I've been through a bunch of struggles with life, business, and whatever else, and I really believe that whenever we give whatever the things that we learn, that we just get so much more back.
100%.
And I feel like it's always a learning opportunity for me, when talking to somebody and helping them maybe to understand something or help them with a solution or something like that.
No doubt, and I think too, like, people in our industry do need that help. I mean, I think me and you have talked about it sort of off camera, like, when I was in my agency, I was basically a CSR. We had so much going on. I had so much going on, and I was wearing so many different hats that, you can't produce. You can't write business quick enough because you're so caught up in the day-to-day operations, and you're caught up in service and replying to emails and talking to underwriters, and it's what you do. And obviously, like, there's so many people now that can, they that are in the virtual staffing space. It's crazy just how it, like, exploded during and after COVID for good reason. But it's something that I think, still to this day, like, not enough agencies are doing. And,
Mhm.
like, me and you have talked about it, right? It's like, if and there's so many one or two-man shops or three-man shops. There's so many of them in our space, guys that are starting out and they're profitable, but they're not profitable enough to, like, to hire 2 or 3 full-time people. And it's like, what can be done? Because if you get the right person, you get the right virtual staffing, it can change your life. I mean, like, immediately. It changes your
Oh
life,
yeah.
not just from, like, a business perspective, but also a personal. It changes your personal life. You
Yes.
have some time now for your kids. You have some time now for your marriage. You have some time now to do some of the bucket list things or do some of the things that, you're burying yourself in work, and you're working on Sunday mornings and you're working on Friday nights. And it's like, you started a business. People started a business to obviously, make money and work for themselves and have freedom. And it's funny how few of us, it's funny how few business owners actually have that freedom and are actually, like, enjoying the fruits of their labor. So,
Oh,
um,
for sure. I think you really hit on a point that I think most business owners, especially insurance agencies, really struggle with is that managing the time. And well, I'd be willing to bet you probably 80% of the agencies, if not more than that, that are that would watch this podcast are going to be like, yeah, that was me too, or that is me. I'm a CSR in my agency. I feel like that, and and it's and that is a super common problem. So I do just talk kind of a little bit about that because man, it's a massive problem where people are doing their email and their other business work, like on Sunday morning. They send the family off to church and they're sitting there with their laptop on the at the kitchen table or whatever, trying to catch up on email and counting and whatever else. And, wondering like, man, what the heck? Is this why I started this business for? There's a stat that says that 90% of the businesses that make it, that they work more and earn less than if they were an employee of somebody else because they have a hard time shifting gears from thinking like an employee to a business owner where they use outsourcing or just hire properly and hire somebody to do that stuff that helps them to keep on focusing on if it's sales or marketing or whatever that thing is that really drives the business forward. Hiring a virtual assistant, a virtual professional is a fantastic way to kind of like, I don't know, kind of like jumpstart it, where you're able to get somebody that's already experienced and also for a fraction of the cost to come in. Plus, also, you leverage the expertise of somebody like me that can tell you this is where you plug them in. Because they just don't always understand that piece of it either. Where do I plug them in? We can help them out with that.
It's a good point. And that's a powerful thing too, because I think to your point earlier, you said like you have this gift and everybody kind of has a gift. That's so true. Like so many insurance agency owners, and business owners alike, not just insurance agency owners, but you know, everybody has kind of a gift that sometimes they're not tapping into. Like I was an agency owner. My gift had nothing to do with insurance. My gift is total right brain, creativity, talking to people, solving those types of problems, designing things. Um, Other people might have the gift of gab. They can sell anything to anybody. They might have the gift of actual like reading through like insurance fine print and understanding like contracts and legalese and that kind of thing. So I think a lot of agency owners do have talent that is not being tapped into because they're pulled in so many different directions. And I see this all the time. Like I see this with my own two eyes with some of our existing clients. It's like, I know that this person is the best salesperson in their agency and they're the last person to sell. And, they're trying to delegate their their best talent. They're trying to delegate what they're best at to other people. And it's like, no, man, like, you should be on the front lines a little bit more. I hate to tell you that. You should be on the front lines and you should delegate the other stuff. You should
Mhm.
delegate the other back office operation stuff that you're doing all day. Like, trust me, that's way easier to delegate than relationships and sales and the stuff that actually brings money into the business. Do you see that from your side? Like what, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, yeah, for sure. That business owners have a hard time letting go of certain things or just willing to commit to certain pieces of it. Like too many times that they struggle with evaluating where that should be. There's several different ways you can evaluate that. Well, I mean, there's tests all over the place online. Also, you can just take some time and start just realizing what do I really enjoy the most? What am I obviously the best at here? And then maybe sinking yourself into that and then taking a proactive route on hiring somebody else. But yeah, also to your point, many times somebody will hire somebody to do exactly what they do, other than maybe a few things. Like, the producer who's the agency owner hires his first employee, where he hires another person to do exactly what they do, minus the accounting or something. Instead, what they should be doing is evaluating what do I really enjoy doing the most? What fires me up every day? Is it binding? Is it issuing new policies? Well, then dig into that, hire somebody to do all the other stuff. And what happens then? Well, then you got, instead of 5 hours, 10 hours a week to do that, well, now you got 30 hours. Well, what more can you do with that? Being proactive, you can then really focus on growing some more revenue to pay for this person as well as also the next person that's coming.
yeah. No, it's a great point. It's funny because I was one of those person, not to turn it back to me, but some of this stuff is resonating with me too. It's like I feel like I need to tell my story too. But we and you may know Patrick, it's the Louisiana connection, man.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
from Vidalia, I'm from Homa, and he was
that's
from
right.
Lake Charles.
Yeah, that's right.
It's we're the Bayou brothers, man.
That's right. That's right. We just need
But
Eric Garcia in here.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should have got him on. I'll have to get him on. He's a good dude too. But
Yeah, he is a good dude.
it's funny. It's like I was one of those people too, like a little bit of a not control freak per se, but definitely like somebody who's a little apprehensive about letting certain things go. And then, by the grace of God, I found Patrick. It's like everybody wants to clone themselves. We all say that to ourselves, man. I need
Yeah.
to be able to,
Worst thing you
if
can
I,
do.
yeah, if I could just clone myself, if I could just clone myself, I would make it. And
Okay.
he's
Yeah, that's the
definitely
worst
that.
thing. Yes.
Yeah, he's definitely that guy that's like, he's not a clone, but he's a guy that he's been able to take a lot of stuff off my plate to the point where in the beginning I was like, I was doing all this stuff and I'm like, wait, I hired him to do this. What am I doing right now? So like I would stop like mid task
Yeah.
and like delegate it to him. And it's gotten to the point now where sometimes he might see the stuff that I'm sending him and be like, dude, what the heck? Like, he might think like I'm delegating too much. No, but I don't think he does think that, but
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
try to be very fair about it. But it is funny how it's changed things and it's allowed me to do so many other things. Like for example, this podcast.
Mhm.
I had so many people through the years say, dude, you need to like do it better. You're like awesome at what you do, and like we love you, but like you're like behind the curtain, man. Like you need to like put yourself out there,
Yeah.
put yourself out there on social media and do this and that. And it's like I finally like 2026, I was like, I need now that I have some folks that have been able to help me out in the business, I need to put myself out there. And this podcast is one of those things that otherwise I would not have time to do. And I think, and I know like you have probably a million stories about this. And I know from talking to agency owners, like, having the right people in there to really alleviate some of the day-to-day grind. And the funny thing is, man, like, Eris, who's the virtual assistant that you helped pair us up with, super great guy. And just like, I'm not afraid to say it, like he's better at certain things than I am. And I think that's like what you as a
Good. I
business,
mean, that's what you
that's
want.
good.
That's what you want, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And so like just being vulnerable, I mean, he's better at certain things than I am. And like I had to let that go too. I'm like, wait, I'm gonna stop even trying to be good at this. I'm just gonna let him take care of it, and he loves it. He's like, what do you got? What else do you have for me? Like I get up and every day in Slack, there's like a message or a question, and it's like, Chris, like, what are we doing today? Like I could tell he's liking it. He loves the job and he's excited to like get up every day and come to work. And
Yeah.
it's helped tremendously. And I think it's also given him a sense of accomplishment and ownership. And like, you know, it's no secret. Look, I mean, some of the folks that are hired in these roles, they're not, they might not be in the best predicament. You know what I mean? Financially or where they're at physically, where they live or whatever. And it's
No, there's
like,
a lot of truth in that.
yeah, it's to be able to give back to them too. I think, I'll just throw it back. I think you do a great job with that. If I understand correctly, you have some things maybe that some other virtual, assistant staffing companies may not do. Like I think you have, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I remember hearing this in one of our conversations, like some sort of like group health plan or something that you're able to like put these folks on. So it's like they went from having no healthcare to now they have some type of healthcare. Like talk about some of that stuff because I think it's important for agencies to know that. And like you said before, you truly care about the people and like you want to do what's best for them. I think there's a lot to be said about that. Like what are some of the things and feel free to brag on yourself, man. Talk about it. Like let the people know because I think this is an awesome thing that you do.
Appreciate that. I want to jump back to something else you were talking about too. You made a lot of points before. Too many times when you were talking about business owners and not letting go of things, there's several reasons, but one of the reasons is they feel guilty about letting go of things and they may beat themselves up, but they forget that something that they don't like to do, someone else probably loves to do that. And you letting them have it is probably going to excite them. And also, I know one of the things you talked about too was about that responsibility and that ownership. Every one of us has got people that work for us that really want to do more for us, but they're waiting for us as the business owner to give them permission to do more. And so, like, if you're a business owner and you're struggling, like letting go of stuff, stop feeling guilty, give it to them. They want to prove that that they're there to back you up. And then, as far as like us, so I mean, it's a few things that we do. with our staff. One is I really try to pay them above the average, like what I see the marketplace is paying them. I really so let me start back a little bit. First thing is I'm incredibly picky about the clients that we work with. I want to work with just the best people that I know are going to be good people that are going to take care of also the virtual professional that we place with them. Look, brother, we all spend 40 to 60 to 80 hours every week working with a group of people. I want you to enjoy that. I want
Yeah.
this person to be a team member. And you referred to him as a team member several times. That's what, we're looking to try to accomplish is with them vetting the client first very heavily, then vetting the employee incredibly heavily too. But we have very strict hiring standards. We want to make sure they're a good core value fit for us. We want to make sure that they actually have the talent and skills that you're looking for as a business owner. So to make sure that they stick. And because of that, over 90% of them stay. And the average is closer to 50 to 70% depending on the company. So we vet them very carefully, make sure that they're a good fit, both they got the skill set, but also the personality, the core values, and then we pay them better than the typical company does. We provide them with group health coverage. We want to make sure that they don't have a problem with that. We also do a bonus structure with every one of them, where we bonus them every year to make sure that they're having having a high quality of life. And then also, we also set up a mentorship program for all of them where they're giving a mentor when they come in to support them, to make sure they're not forgotten, to give them, support so that they don't feel overwhelmed in their job. This is a personal story. Whenever I first started, I just I wanted to make sure that we did a good job for both our client and the virtual assistant. People matter they just matter a lot. And, uh, you get them to agree to trust you. I don't want to take that trust lightly. And part of that is just providing them with some degree of support and, a really high quality option within us so that they're really glad that they decided to trust us. Whenever I went to the Philippines the first time, I knew I was making an impact on these people's lives, but I didn't know how much. And we went, and I went for Christmas and had this big banquet for our staff, and I got there early. My head virtual assistant, Hannah, she took care of organizing everything. I got there early, me and my wife, and the employees start coming in, and they're coming in with tears in their eyes, greeting me, hugging me and my wife, saying thank you, for the job. These people, we're having a small talk conversation, talking about the traffic and whatever else. And, time after time, it was the same thing. They first came in, very emotional, and, to, embrace me, to say thank you for the job. And then, would tell us about the journey that they had coming to there. Time after time, it was 3, 4 hours that they were traveling one way to come see me to say thank you and to eat with me for an hour, hour and a half. And, Hannah had a friend that was with her that pulled me aside and said, Bo, I see you don't really understand exactly what they mean. They earn more than anybody else does here that works like a job like this. And you take so much time in making sure that they're paired with a good client so that they're not treated as less than a human. Because a lot of these, they come from environments where they're not respected. They're respected only because of what can you do within an hour or a day of time.
Hmm.
What are the tasks that you can do? And they're heavily micromanaged, and we don't do that. We treat them as a person. We treat them with some decency. Make sure they're getting paid above the standard wage. Provide the benefits, and then regularly check in on them. And we don't just plug them into a spot and then just tell them, "All right, you just go and earn." We check in on them, make sure that they're really well taken care of. Because you can get in a virtual professional position. You're working at home by yourself. It's easy to get to feeling alone or forgotten, and we don't want that. But that whenever someone gets to that spot, their work quality is just going to diminish. But it's not even about that. This is a person, and we want to make sure that knowing that that's a known temptation, problem, whatever word you want to use, we want to provide everything we can to make sure that that does not happen. And it's made a lot of difference for us.
That's awesome, dude. And that's this is so I kind of knew a little bit about all this, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get you specifically on, because there's a lot of people honestly that I could have got on here to talk about virtual assistants and virtual staffing and whatnot. I mean, there's so many people now that I feel like, you know, there's 100 people now that have a VA company, and it's like I knew before I invited you on that you were doing some of this stuff, and it's like that's why, and I'm not affiliated with you. I'm not an affiliate of anybody, but I'll sit here right now and just say right to everybody who's listening, if you need a virtual assistant, like just get with Bo. Like he
Thank
has
you.
his heart is in the right place. And I think it was just like to your point earlier, you start off by wanting to help people. And like, and this is not to turn it back on me, but same thing with me, right? When I was building websites, I was doing it for free for a year, and I was just helping people. I was on free consulting calls for a year before I ever had the gumption to charge people for it. It's like when you come out with the right intention or lack of intention, good things happen. I think that's kind of
Oh,
your
yeah.
living, breathing testament to that, man. And I know too, like just working with Eris, he's like I said, he's awesome. And I think a lot of that goes to sort of like your vetting process, and like to your point earlier, like you want to make sure that you're pairing folks with the right agencies, because you probably know this now that you're on the quote vendor side of things. And this is something that I was kind of naive about for a long time. And like, you learn sort of through the years of working with a lot of different agencies. First, there's a lot of insurance agents, right? It's a very saturated industry, and agents are coming from all walks of life. They're coming from other sales positions, they're coming from other roles, they're coming from selling cars, or they're coming from selling houses, and a lot of everybody's different. And I say all that to say, like, not every agency is like a good client. Like
Right.
you don't
Right.
want to do, like, we don't want to work with just every single agency. We've had to part ways with people that are trying to talk to our staff crazy. Like, dude, really? Like, where is this coming from? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, repeated stuff. And it's like, you have to just, sometimes you have to realize, like, not every client is a good client, and the client is not always right.
Right.
That saying of, the customer is always right. That don't work here. That don't work in Advisor Evolve. No. But I mean, I say that in jest, but I mean, we have a great working relationship with so many of our clients, but it's like one of those things where every once in a while there's some bad apples that you have to like steer around. And you probably know that now too. Like, if you've
Oh,
gotten
yeah.
feedback
Yeah.
from some of your folks who say like, is there any other agency that you can put us with? So
Yeah.
agencies, if
Yeah,
you're listening, be good
we stay
clients.
engaged pretty good, but, usually you
Yeah.
can kinda tell usually tell pretty well up front too a lot of times, but then also, a lot of our clients are referrals, and buddies aren't gonna send you problems. They're gonna send you good people. But, back to your point too about charging for something, and, I really believe you do something that you love and you're good at, and you answer a problem for somebody, you know and then you figure out the right price to charge for it. It makes an incredibly good relationship that benefits everybody. In my case, the employee, of course, us, and then also the client, so that they're able to continue doing what they really need to focus on and do, which is whatever part of that business that they really get. And we just become a partner with them. Same thing with you. You know, I can look at a website and say, "Man, it looks fantastic." Really, I got no idea how to design one. I mean, that's your giftedness is that, and something that desperately was needed in the industry when you started, and you know, but I can't imagine. I know for me, I don't know. I can't remember how long. I think I've been client 10 years. My agency has
A
10,
long
11 years.
time. Yeah.
Brother, if I bump into somebody at a trade show or something like that, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
Chris Langille got me. Like, there's no way you're gonna talk me to somewhere else.
Appreciate it. That's awesome, dude. No, I know. And tell me a little bit about, like, because I'm sure like people that are listening, or this is brand new to them. They've been thinking about it. they might be a little bit nervous about it. They might have existing staff where they don't want to step on their toes by bringing in someone new. Like, what is generally, you don't have to go into every single detail, but just give the folks maybe like an idea of like if they were to bring someone on through you. And I'm just gonna say it right now, like I'm gonna let you sort of pitch a little bit because I think, not pitch, but just explain it, because I think people are sort of confused on the process of how it works. Like, is there an interview process? Like, if somebody, you're onboarding a client, what does all that look like for an insurance agency that like is wanting to hire somebody?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about pain points first. One of the pain points that agencies worry about is bringing someone in that's overseas connected to their data. We
Yes.
provide
Yes.
a really secured work environment that they work from. A lot of different things that we've done and continually have done where we work with an IT professional that we basically kind of outsource that part of it, but we work really closely with them so they understand what are our needs, what are our concerns, and then they specialize in what we do, insurance agencies, our typical client. So we make sure that we've got the employee inside of a work environment where there's no way data can come in or out of the work environment. And even their local computers are really protected with, integrate enterprise grade software to protect all that data. So they can't get breached. They can't lose data. We can't have an employee go rogue and all of a sudden steal all of the client database. That's the first thing is that we do. We ensure that those things are in place so you don't have to worry about that as a agency owner that's hiring somebody from overseas. Um, Second piece of that is, an employee, you got current staff and you're concerned about them. How are they going to think? I think where you start is you look at your employees and see where are their pain points that they have, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and then you pitch the new employee as solving that pain point. I can tell you, like for the average agency owner have got really talented people there that are great at selling or great at servicing and keeping clients on the books, generating revenue, keeping revenue. What they don't like is they don't like chasing down underwriting memos. They don't like chasing down, managing the Ivan's download, right? They don't like doing the renewal quoting process. Maybe they're not very good at just keeping that renewal process, in check and going through or doing proposals and things like that. Well, you dial into that and say, well, what I want to do is I want to bring this person in to do this stuff for you, to assist you so you can spend more time doing this. I mean, this is the things that you love. So, kind of pitching it to them that this is an assistant to help you spend more time doing what you love to do. And then you just kind of slowly start bringing them on. The other part of the question that you had, sorry, I actually forgot it. What was that?
No, you're good. Yeah, it's basically just like, what's the process? Do you
Oh,
do
yeah, the
like an
process.
interview? Like, is there like a training portal? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's all good. Sorry, I tend to do that. I put like 8 questions in 1 question. Sorry about
good.
that. That's
Oh,
my fault.
good. I was
My
I
fault.
was trying to pull it up. So the process. So first step in the process is I spend a little bit of time with whoever the agency owner is and any team members that they have that are going to be like the immediate either decision makers or affected by it. Help them to understand what is the need. And they may already have it in their mind, but a lot of times they come to me and they're really not. They just know that they need help. They got team members that need help and they heard of this was an option and somehow they got connected to me. Well, I can help them think through that scenario of understanding how do you develop silos of work to be done and make teams out of it. So basically creating like mini departments. So I can kind of help teach them that based off of my experience as an agency owner. I've done commercial lines, personal lines, managed, run the agency, and have done this, bunch of different years. So first, I help them to think through this and create a strategy for bringing them on, and help them to develop a game plan of like, this is what you're going to start on first. This is the very first thing. This is the most important thing that's eaten up most of the time. We'll start there. This is how you do it. Then I'll lay out, what do you do next and next and next. And then we then find that employee for them that's already got the experience, that's already understands whatever the system is that they're using. So that way, this employee can be basically plug and play. All they need to know is what exactly is it that you're wanting them to do for you? They already know the basic process. They may just learn. They may need to just learn your process, right? And then they get plugged into your system. You start there, but before that, we do is we find this person and we present them to whoever the client is. We give them a resume, a video of the person introducing themselves, telling about their experience, and then also we tell them why do we think that they're a good fit for that agency specifically. They take the next step is we have an interview where the VA, the people at the client, and then also my head VA have a meeting. And the point of that meeting is to see, do you like this person as a person? Do you feel like y'all can work together? And allow this VA to then start asking questions to understand how is it going to be working with you, your team, and understanding the scope of work. And after that, it's, we're off to the races. 2 to 3 weeks tops from that first conversation we have to when they start working.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember when I did this process with you, I was I was thinking to myself, I gotta do all of this. But now that I think back on it, I'm like, that's how it should be. Like that's how it should be. And I learned some things from it too. Like, and I'm not a pro at hiring people. I've gotten lucky a handful of times with some of
Oh,
the people that we have, and lucky by running into you. But yeah, it's funny that the process really is necessary. And it wasn't, I joke, it wasn't really bad at all. I mean, it was, and as a matter of fact, it was kind of like enlightening. Like I was like, all right, he knows what he's doing, because these are questions that I would have never thought to even ask myself. And yeah, I could tell that, this isn't just a hobby for you. Like this is something that you do. Uh,
oh yeah, yeah. We spend a lot of time thinking through it, just making sure that we've got the right slots of information filled in so we can get the right person, for you.
it's
So yeah,
awesome.
we spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time thinking through it, and also, yeah, we've got a process that works really well. We take a step back, periodically and take a look at it, just review it, see if we need to make modifications. We learn something in the process that, like, okay, well, maybe we need to adopt a little bit based off of this, and we do because we want to be in a state of just constantly improving and just not assuming we got it 100%. I mean, stuff
Hmm.
changes, and also just you learn new stuff all the time, right?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I know it's funny. Like, and you've been to the Philippines a couple times, right?
hmm Yeah, yeah, been twice. I've had a fantastic time. It's a beautiful place to go, but also just being able to go there and see them face to face and allow them, to share a meal with them. I know it's a great experience. And usually, I want to bring them a gift. I brought them some socks last year, an IE Blueprint logo, and they were pretty excited about that. And then we did something, we've done T-shirts and other things like that too, and they love all that. But also, it's just
It's
that time
awesome.
of the year. We usually do a Christmas bonus for them, and Christmas is a big time of the year for them there. So we go then, and it's great to just see them and just be able to socialize with them a little bit face to face, and see the impact we're having. We're helping to create a middle class there.
100%. Yeah.
Because the outside of like businesses like us, it's just there's extreme rich or extreme poverty. I mean, like extreme poverty, we don't even have here. Like we've got poverty in the U.S., but not even like that. And it just here, I think one of the things that makes it work, and I guess that I see is that here there's so much opportunity that we almost take it for granted. Whereas there's just not as much opportunity. So like we present an opportunity like what we do with IE Blueprint, you know, the people really appreciate it because it's just not everywhere. I know there's so many, there's quite a lot of VA companies, but still some of them do a good job, some of them not so good. And then still it's just barely touches the surface of all the people that are there in the country. And so you really provide them with a great opportunity, and man, they greatly appreciate it, which is
Yeah.
partly why they work so hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's funny. I've joked around with Patrick a couple times. I'm like, we should just surprise Eris and like fly over there, knock on his door, yo, what's
Yeah.
up, dude? Like six pack of
Man, he would
beer.
love it. Yeah, he would love
Yeah.
it. He would love it. 'Cause
He would
FYI, it's a long flight.
yeah, he would probably bug out, but it's funny. That's like a fun thing I would love to do at some point,
Yeah.
man. He's a good dude. But Dude,
Yeah,
thank you, man. Thank you for jumping on here. I've been wanting to get you on for a long time, and just one thing
appreciate it.
led to another, and wasn't able to do it. But tell the other beautiful people, man, if they're curious about virtual staffing, or they're curious about you, they want to talk to you. Like, where can they get a hold of you? Look at your website. What are all those good things?
Yeah, well, the website's IA Blueprint. stands for Independent Agent Blueprint, and you can find that online. You can also find me on Facebook. You can find me on pretty much all the socials. And also, my email is bo@iablueprint.com. Go check out our website and connect to me. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the different things, so you can find me pretty easy.
We should buy the domain bayoubrothers.com and redirect it to iablueprint.com.
That's right.
Yeah, just for the fun of it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's right. We should. All right,
But
brother.
thank you, man.
I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate you allowing me to come on and just talk about this and talk about something that definitely is a bit of a passion for me.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we'll make sure that we share this out on the socials, and we'll probably bring you back on here again at some point too, man. So thank you again.
Yeah,
Thank you, bud.
yeah, brother. Of course. Awesome.